Back on, ladies and gentlemen, with an issue which should worry all of us, because we are increasingly trying to improve our digital infrastructure, going digital, and Naya Bharat is going to be far more digitally empowered than before. But that also opens us up to be vulnerable to cyber attacks, and that too some of which could be state sponsored. So the next level of war could be around data and also attacking our critical structures, infrastructural systems, using data and using state-sponsored hacking. Interestingly, January 2024 also has seen some of Bharat's critical systems and infrastructural systems being attacked, and that too from certain actors who could be state-sponsored. Joining us now, cyber expert Kanish Gaur and also Paramdeep Singh. Namaste and thank you very, very much, gentlemen. Now, this is a report that we've accessed here at CNN News 18. And Kanishk, if you could take us through this report, because Athena has done this report and I want to understand what does this imply? Because you say in January 2024, there have been cyber attacks on critical Bharatiya systems, including some which is related to defense.
So as per the report which was carried forward by Athenian Tech, we found a large number of state-sponsored hacktivist groups trying to hack India's critical information infrastructure. And this included healthcare establishments, this included systems which would look at government machinery, strategic sector. And this was being carried out by hacktivists with the pure purpose of impacting India's democracy, our sustainability, our resilience. This has been going on for last 3 to 4 weeks, and numerous critical infrastructure establishments have been impacted because of this. This is not because of India doing anything on offensive or taking any kind of route on launching cyber attack, but particularly with respect to certain stance India has taken geopolitically with the current Hamas and Israeli conflict which is going on. India supported Israel's right to self-determination. Given that context, certain hacktivist groups which favor Hamas have been doing cyber attacks on India's critical information infrastructure, and this has been going round the clock. What they have been doing is they have been attacking India's critical infrastructure, and they have been leaking a lot of this information on the dark web, and also using Telegram channels to put all of this information out.
I just want to understand before I bring in Paramdeepji, are these individual actors, or when you say nation state actors, or are these non-state actors? How are these, who are these people, and do they belong to a particular country, particular region, particular religious denomination?
So these are hacktivist groups, and these threat actors have names such as the Islamic Cyber Team, COA StarX, COA Garuda, COA Activist Jatim, so COA Islamic Cyber Team Indonesia. That has been the name. So these are anonymized names. So these are activist groups which are doing all of this activity. And these typical attacks have been DDoS, which is basically distributed denial of services attack, where they are looking at bringing out the systems completely down. So we saw a lot of Indian websites being DDoSed by them and the data being compromised as well. So on 30th of January, we saw the Indian Army website was attacked by Toxcar Cyber Indonesia. We also saw that these attacks have been going on between 7th of October till the mid of January. On 14th of January, they compromised Banaras Hindu University. The threat actor, which is claiming the act is Lulsec Muslims, right? And they have put across a lot of data. They have compromised the personal identifiable information of students of Banaras Hindu University. So these are activist groups which are typically organized criminals who do this if somebody is paying them to do this, or if they have certain religious affiliations or geopolitical affiliations.
Now, Paramdeepji, how serious is this? Because what they're doing is there is a certain level of bigoted or xenophobic intent also when you're targeting establishments which are either with a nation's security or with a Hindu identity, if it is BHU, or releasing data of students with a particular religious disposition. One can look at it however, but even health services have been attacked. So how serious is this for us as a challenge? And how vulnerable are we? Because
See, I,
I had certain people who said our most of our government websites themselves are not HTTPS, they are HTTP only. So they by default are so vulnerable. So are we sitting on a mindful of data which can be taken away by anybody and used against us at their time and place of convenience?
See, one, these are obviously serious attacks, both if the attack is on a healthcare system or the financial system. So there are two kinds of risks that you run. So as Kanishji pointed out, the primary attack or the primary modus operandi of these players has been denial of services attack. That means they would bring the sites down, and if they are able to bring down critical infrastructure sites, like let's say if they are able to bring down the system that I did that sort of verifies your Aadhaar. That means all your systems would automatically go down. So, for example, if the Aadhaar verification goes down, maybe your passport system goes down, maybe your payment system goes down, your sort of payment to the poor people in terms of the rations, they could go down.
So, is there a trend or a pattern? Is a certain religiosity or a xenophobic zeal that is driving these people, or are these random mercenaries who will assume names and identities as is expected of them, based on who's hiring them to do it? And how many of these are largely state-sponsored or state-backed?
See, my personal understanding is that if their intent is to steal money, then it could be any particular actor. Steal money or information. That means if they're looking for your credit cards or if they're looking for your personal information that they want to use for commercial gains, then they may not be specifically state sponsored or from a xenophobic group. But if the intent is just to harm you without them getting anything in return, so for example, even if they're not even getting money out of that, I think most of those attacks tend to be xenophobic in nature, where sort of it could be either state sponsored or they are activist groups that are looking to sort of further their agenda.
Final question, Kanishk. How does one secure ourselves? And Paramdeep ji, you can weigh in after Kanishk. How does Bharat secure itself? Do we have to now consistently have activists or white activists who will sit there and counter hack? Is it possible to have Trojans into our system, which will or some coding in such a way that a Trojan automatically embeds on the other way if somebody tries to hack into our system? I'm a novice in all of this, so that's why I'm asking you, how is it that we can do it? Because this is a different world for a lot of people, unknown territory.
Thanks, Anand. So, what is first required is that a regular security assessment or audit is carried out by cybersecurity companies. So, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has published a list of 40 empaneled cybersecurity firms, and these are empaneled by the Computer Emergency Response Team of India. Now, these could be engaged for carrying out regular security audits. The second part is companies use software and patches come out for these softwares. A lot of times, you and I will get a link, on our phones that there's a patch which is available. We need to update our patch. That needs to be done. So there is a software patch which has come out from Apple or from Android. We need to update those patches. The third is we need to build up more resilience there. If there are any links which are being sent through phishing scams, we are able to identify them and not fall prey to them. A lot of times we get links from Instagram, Facebook saying that your account is about to expire or your account is about to get closed. Now, those are social engineering. So, the third part is about cyber awareness, which needs to be spread. So, it is not just the IT people who are responsible for cybersecurity, it is every person within the organization. They should know what is phishing, what is social engineering. So those are basics which are there. Then proactive security monitoring needs to be done by organizations, not just critical infrastructure organizations, even organizations which have web or mobile presence. At a nation level, I think we need to deploy more proactive monitoring systems to block some of these IP addresses, right, which could be done by the CERT or which could be done by the National Technical Research Organization, NTRO, and prepare a list of these IP addresses and share with the larger organizations so they could block them. So you would see a lot of these attacks are not happening in isolation. There could also be certain elements which could try and use other means to get into the system. So it could be somebody physically trying to enter an organization. I can give an example. When 26/11 happened, the establishments which were close to the hotels, their Wi-Fi systems were compromised first, and those Wi-Fi systems were then used to get into the hotels to find out how does the systems work, right? So a cyber attack today does not happen in isolation. It could also lead to a significant security breach, which could be a physical security breach. So the cyber physical systems are interconnected. So it's